In the summer of 2016, I was introduced to Bloodborne. My partner at the time was really into it and encouraged me to play, but try as I did, it didn't click with me at all. I remember feeling frustrated that everything reset when I died, that the enemies were both a nuisance and mostly avoidable. I was confused. Why are these enemies here if I could just run past them? Taking them out made exploration more relaxing, but it just felt so tedious. And then I would die anyway, and then they would appear again. It felt Sisyphean, and I could not fathom why people would enjoy such a thing. I moved on to other games like Dishonored 2, which released later that year, and mostly forgot about Fromsoft as a whole. Fast forward to summer of 2020. I was unemployed due to the public health crisis, and I was catching up on games I never got to play and watching a lot of video essays. One of those essays was Bloodborne is Genius. Here's Why, by H Bomber Guy, a wonderful video that examines how to best approach Bloodborne and the sort of mindset it encourages. So I played Bloodborne and later Dark Souls 3, and this time, older and wiser, I got it, at least intellectually. I appreciated the art and sound design, and I appreciated the way these games make you suffer while earnestly wanting you to succeed despite the odds. Yet I didn't really have fun playing these games in the way other people seem to have fun in these games. At the time, I would have killed for a difficulty option. Like, I get it, you want me to fail so that when I win it feels good, but I just want to roleplay as a monster killer and play dress up while admiring the architecture and whatever. Some people love that feeling of euphoria after defeating a hard boss. For me, when I defeat a hard boss, one that took me a long while to get through, usually I just feel annoyed and tired and hollow. Now, video games are art, and art isn't necessarily supposed to be fun. Art is supposed to elicit emotions and messages to the player or viewer or whatever, but I did feel disconnected from what people liked about these games. Sure, maybe these games simply aren't for me, but damn it, I do want to like them, and not just conceptually, but, like, in my heart. Fast forward to January of 2022. I just got a PS5 and a copy of Deathloop, an immersive sim in the same universe as one of my favorite games ever, Dishonored. Like Bloodborne, every player death and enemy respawn is canon, and happens within the actual text of the game. Except, instead of magical fantasy reasons, it's for quantum mechanic time loop reasons, which mainly is just magic fantasy reasons with extra steps. The idea is that 7 visionaries, Deathloop's idea of bosses, are keeping the area in a time bubble, and every day repeats itself until you, the player, kills all the visionaries in one day or one loop. Deathloop and Bloodborne share the same gameplay loop. See what I did there? Yeah, but anyway, of exploring the world in stasis, fighting bosses, and finding cool shit, and having a lot of your progress whisked away if you don't visit your corpse to gain back your experience. At first I was disinterested in this particular design in Deathloop, but because the combat and exploration in Deathloop is so similar to Dishonored, a game that lights up my neurons with happy chemicals every time I play it, it very quickly clicked with me in a way other FromSoft games didn't. To get powers in Deathloop, you need to kill the Visionary and take their slab. One of those powers is Shift, a version of the teleportation power in Dishonored, one of the most fun abilities ever in all of gaming. I mean, for real, I really wish more video games had this power. It's so fun. I know grappling hooks were all the rage a few years ago, like Halo Infinite had one, and sure, that's similar, I guess, but teleportation is the shit, and I was dead set on getting this power first, regardless if it was the easiest or most logical way to get to at the point of the game, right in the beginning. A visionary named Charlie has the Shift slab, and lives in a castle and is surrounded by a lot of guys. Starting with nothing, I tried to kill him, and failed. So I tried again, and failed. And each time I learned the area just a little bit more, noticed patterns, got ideas, started formulating plans. Death was not a failure, and failure was not death, and after a few tries I decided I needed a stealth weapon. Turns out there's a muffled SMG in the first area of the game, so I found it, and then I went to the castle, tried to be stealthy, failed at that, and had to start over. Yet, unlike my experience with Bloodborne, I wasn't annoyed. In fact, I was more motivated than ever, and I knew it would be only a matter of time before I'd get him, and then I would have teleportation. You know, the coolest power in all of gaming. Eventually, I got that motherfucker, and it felt so good, and something clicked with me. It was like, wow, this feeling that I'm feeling right now, this is what Fromsoft games is trying to elicit from the player. I don't know why I couldn't see it. I don't know why it wasn't resonating with me until now, but this feeling of experimentation and trial and error, all that stuff, it was like, it felt doable. It felt like my input mattered. So naturally, when I got the power, I made sure to visit the same dude and kill him several times more in style to get the upgrades. A month later, in February 2022, Elden Ring came out, and I was ready, man. I spent most of my early hours picking up runes and exploring and leveling up and being overpowered for the majority of bosses I faced. And when bosses did give me trouble, I used magic or spirit ashes and any tool that would give me an edge, really, preferring to fight smarter, not harder. It was great, and there's a reason why I have over 200 hours in the game, and I would not have enjoyed it as much if I did not play Deathloop a month before. This video doesn't really have a broader point. I just thought it'd be fun to compare two very different games and how they influence my worldview. I don't know, maybe by sharing my experience will help broaden someone else's perspective. I'm the Rat Shepherd, and thanks for watching.